2024. And any comments on that? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, a motion from Henke and a second.
I wasn't present, so do I just abstain?
I wasn't either, but
You can still approve the minutes if you don't have a problem with them. So,
Okay, yep.
so
I'll
okay,
second.
okay. A second from Rasmussen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's approved. All right. And item number 2, discussion and possible action regarding tourism grant request applications. Marianne is not with us at the moment, but we do have in our packet the spreadsheet for the 2024 room tax allocation. And I know usually she says that the collections are usually about at least 30 to 45 days out. So I'm guessing that these numbers are probably through the end of June, maybe. I don't know. There's no date on here. But looking at the spreadsheet, we do have a balance available of $98,160, and then 2 new requests totaling in $40,250. So, and we can go into our first request, but first, I don't know, Tim White's here from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I don't know if you've got anything for us today before we go into our first requests, so.
Well, I guess officially for the record, Tim White, 225-721 Swan Avenue, Wausau, Wisconsin. I mentioned this before the meeting, but we're very, very excited to let you know that we went after and got the bid for the World Championships Horseshoe Tournament in both 2026 and 2029. Thousands of participants will be here. The hotels, they'll be here for a week or so. It's a pretty drawn-out tournament coming from all parts of the country and around the world, Canada, Japan, other places too. So we're really excited about it. We last fall decided we should really kind of get back into going after sporting events and other kind of big events. And so we joined Sports ETA and went to the Portland Sports ETA National Conference. Jody and Aaron from Greenheck Turner went, and then they worked those leads, and we were able to secure this bid. So pretty exciting stuff. And yeah, again, thank you for your support with all that.
All right. Well, thank you for the update. And moving ahead, so we'll go into our first grant application here, and that's for the Wausau Festival of Arts. We've seen these. This is a regular participant that we've received applications from them previously several years, and this is the Festival of Arts. I believe that happens in September, and they're looking for the grant request of $10,625. Now, we don't have anybody here from the festival, but if anybody's got any questions or discussion, Alder Rasmussen?
Thank you. So, yeah, it did look like they were looking to increase their marketing radius a little bit, which is always helpful, I think, with our goal being to generate overnight hotel stays. Earlier on, often the hotel stays that came from this were more the artists than they were the patrons. I think that has shifted a little bit. I mean, it's still the artists, but I think that their draw, the application looks like they're trying to highlight those ads to target them over 90 miles from here so they can maybe get that overnight stay. One thing that we had in the past looked at or kind of watched out for was in the advertising requests, locally focused advertising. There was a couple of them where we deleted an ask if it was for something like local radio only or city pages only. But it looks like some of the things that they had outlined here that they wanted to spend on actually have a significant reach into the UP and things like that. And I think the other one requested the same thing. I guess they've got it split up quite a bit here. It also looked like in the packet, one piece of the Grand Theater application ended up in the Festival of Arts application. So the marketing plans, you have to discern, I guess, which is which.
When they scan the documents, something must have got out of order.
It got stuck, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So So I didn't see local specific print advertising in theirs, in the Festival of Arts one. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but it does look like we have funding fully fund both requests if we choose to. But I didn't see anything particularly concerning about Festival of Arts, especially if they're looking to expand their reach to bring people over.
Okay. Tim, I think you got something to add?
Yeah, and I can expound on that a little bit too. We've given, pretty much most of our partners data that shows a number of the areas like the UP, Duluth, Marquette, Houghton as real viable, routes that people come down. And with over 70,000+ people expected for, that weekend, there'll be hotel stays for sure, so.
Okay.
I think two questions that I had. I don't know if, looking at the run dates of the things that are on there, that it's 2023. I'm assuming it's 2024, but I don't want to assume.
Yeah, that's another.
And then if there was somebody here or online, I don't think we have either, correct?
No, we do not.
Not a concern, but all of this marketing would have been already invested in.
This is probably paying them back.
So if they had the funds already to invest, do we need to backfill that? I mean, it is a little bit of a risk and a gamble otherwise. And my only other piece is, we fund, I think, three different entities for the same weekend. And it's not an education session or a marketing session, but they're more than likely talking to the same people. And feedback that I've had from a couple people who aren't from our market is how confusing the weekend is for an out-of-towner. It is a beautiful weekend. When they're here, you're happy, but it is very confusing as an outsider of what's actually going on. And I think that potentially there might be some opportunity to fund a weekend one entity. I don't know.
I've heard something similar, and only because it's all the same dates, but in terms of marketing and seeking out those, like, what is where, it does really function almost like 5 separate events. If you're an exhibitor, it's similar, depending on which venue you want to be at. So with stuff, there's 2 different entities operating out of Marathon Park. There's the downtown, there's the Birds and Art exhibit, to people who are at the event attendees, and to the locals, it's pretty seamless. People know. But that was one request that I've had from someone when I was talking about this weekend in general was, could there be some coordination between the entities that all want to be recognized? Because realistically, art lifts art. So if all of these institutions would work together, the Museum of Contemporary Art down the street, the Woodson, the Festival of Arts, the 2 that are running at Marathon Park, the Valley Art Association and the Art World thing, if all of them would come together, and maybe they each have a piece of a request, but maybe one larger request, so that we could see who's pushing what markets. I'm sure some are doing more robust advertising than others, but they all benefit.
Absolutely.
So, but I have heard that same thing. It's piecemeal for us. It has been kind of every year, but maybe that's some discussion we could have post-event with those organizers to say, hey, could you guys work together as an arts community? And recognize that they aren't in competition with one another. They all lift each other up, right? So,
Yeah, definitely, because if we look at what we've already awarded this year, the Leoki Woodson Art Museum, Artrageous, Wisconsin Art Association, Marathon Park, have both been received awards previously, and so this would be the third major entity of the group. But if they could all come in at the same time with a more coordinated request, and even if it was broken down by organization, because if they've got their own particulars, but if the grants would come in at the same time.
even if they had a little bit of an organizers roundtable to kind of pregame some of
Yeah.
these requests, so that it all comes to us as the weekend, even though there's 4 or 5 of them. It helps us understand it, but then too, if they would focus their marketing as a group, they could probably do bigger things with the money they get.
Yeah, because I always have that feeling when we get these requests piecemeal for this event, because it's such a big event, and we see 3 different grant applications, I start to wonder, are we, is there overlap in what we're doing and what's happening? So,
Yeah.
So and then I agree with all those points. And then the other piece was, and maybe I missed it, Lisa, the city pages piece. That seems local. I mean, we've
It is always
Yeah.
local, because, yeah.
so that would be the only thing that I would say that, if we're kind of staying on course or staying consistent, that would be the one thing that I would look to pull out of that number.
And, no, I just lost my page here. Where was that piece on their application? Because their marketing plan got
there's a
16? Okay.
Yeah, there's a document called the Tourism
Yep.
Grant Summary Report, and I think
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
I think this is last year's, because, these all have 2023 dates, and those dates jive with 2023. City pages, print and web.
Print and web, yeah.
August 1st to September 1st, 4650 is what they spent last year. I don't know if they have in there.
Well, see, and that's what we always have looked at as, chances are with the local circulation of that publication, anyone that's reading that is coming anyway, if they're coming, right? They're
Yeah.
already here. So, and it doesn't say if this is their expected or their forecasted expense for that same thing. If that's the case, I guess I'd recommend that we probably reduce that ask by 4,000, but, we don't know if this is their 2024 projection.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what they spent last year. I mean, it doesn't say that they're intending to spend less, but I wish someone from there was here today that we could ask.
Yeah, it would just help seek a little understanding on it. And
Well, I mean, like you said, the fact that those ads are probably already booked, then I guess it's up to us if we want to fund the entire request or if we want to reduce that request and fund like 6,000 of the 10.
In their profit and loss, they've got, or their budget for the coming festival, they've got just 13,000 in advertising, and that's it. There's no breakdown.
No, and it looks like there's a very narrow budget margin. I mean, they're definitely not flush with cash. So, at the end of it, their net income is low.
Yeah. So last year,
I mean, it's not our goal to create a hardship for commitments
No.
they've already made either.
no. Yeah, last year we awarded $10,000 according to their last year's P&L, and they had 13,000 in advertising. So I'm guessing with this year's slight increase of 10,625, it's going to be the print advertising is probably going to be the same. It's going to be the same mix again this year. So. I guess, moving forward, we could approve it with the provision that, they look at, more
Wider radius.
wider radius,
Yeah.
to try to using this money for that 90-plus mile.
Because we're close to their event date and they've likely already committed to advertising, I will make a motion that we approve their grant as requested, since it's very similar to last year's in terms of amount. But I think that post-event, we should have some discussion with them about the locally focused ads and have them leave them out, if that's what part of this is.
Okay, Tim?
And also, if you're willing, I'm more than willing to reach out to all those entities and tell them that, tell them to do a marketing together and bring those folks together to.
It would be helpful. I mean, if we
Yeah.
could get them all around a
Makes more
table,
sense.
even if that means that maybe you're at the center of that table with them, just because it's such a large event to kind of coordinate and get them all talking. They don't even always talk to each other. I think they
No.
all are part of the event, but there's some, at least in my past experience, between some of them, there's some measure of competitiveness that doesn't need to exist because they all are bringing a greater appreciation to everything they all do.
Yeah.
And I think to kind of like stem that and then get them all to push forward bigger would be
Yeah.
helpful.
And I think there's less competition than before. I mean, the very fact that they have it on the same weekend shows
Yeah.
that they're willing to do it together. But I can help set the table, basically,
Yeah,
so I can
that
do
would
that.
be awesome.
Good deal. So there's a motion on the floor. Do I see a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, a second from Vandia. Discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Okay, and then the next item is the Performing Arts Foundation Grand Theater. And this is for their 2024, 2025 season. That'll be, that runs from now and through the end of June. And they're looking for a grant request amount of $30,000. So I believe that's a significant amount from last year. But in their marketing plan, they've also stated that they are really going quite bullish on marketing outside that 90-mile radius. So,
Which is what we want them all to be doing. I mean, they are a continuing appropriations entity that receives some of the city's portion also of the retained portion. But I think some of that also is used for overhead because it can be over
Yeah.
there. This would be unique to marketing, which I think would be helpful.
correct.
And if they're looking at bringing in more shows even, you know,
Yeah.
to make sure that every week they've got something happening.
There was several, I think they had several Broadway shows that were going to run 2 nights. So that is those are expensive shows.
They
So
are,
it's,
they are. And it says here they've sold 91,000 tickets last year. So, I mean, that is bringing people in.
Yeah.
And did they have a split of where they were spending theirs? I think, yeah, they asked for 12,500 for TV, marketing, Wausau, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and the UP. Now, are those overnight trips? I don't know.
I'm guessing probably Rhinelander and the UP will be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Possibly.
possibly.
Same thing with radio ads. I mean, they all have kind of the same broadcast reach if they're
Yeah.
doing local station stuff. Billboards, they've got a little wider focus on.
Do we have anybody here from? We don't. do
No, we don't.
No,
They continue. I mean, I think you continue to see growth in that space. And maybe not just growth, but also consistency.
Yeah.
Quality of show. I think the only question I would have if they were here would be, what's our potential additional capture with 30,000? Like, is it, how many more people, how many more tickets are actually available for us to be able to try to fill those seats and sell out all the shows? Would be one question, that I would have.
well, I think they're sold out fairly often, so the option to grow is to add more shows, right? Because there's only so many seats in the venue, but, I noticed in part of the narrative that they had written up that they talked about, during the 2023-24 season, they directly booked 405 rooms for artists, in addition to the Broadway tours that booked 150 nights, and that's before we even get to the attendees.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a decent amount of
And-
room nights.
And I'm highly confident that those are all all Wausau Hotel. It's not ours, but I mean, I believe they keep it in Wausau.
They do, okay,
I believe it's Jefferson Street.
okay. I suppose it's close to the venue.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's, and yeah, they're anticipating an additional 220 room nights, so,
well, and this is something that, I mean, the fact that they want to really ratchet up their efforts, if we were to fund it at this level this year, kind of as a test to see what they can achieve in terms of growth, before we would take another big request like this for next year, before it becomes cyclical and it's always this large.
Yeah.
I'd want to see the results of this year's effort, if it's a larger effort than it's been in the past.
I would add that we've been increasing now for the last 2 years for a whole bunch of events, and maybe agendize something for the next meeting to maybe start reviewing some of those. Might be time.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think just to like post-event measure their results and just see, what impact we really got for that increased investment. If it's less than stellar, then we know next year that maybe we need to rein in that ask.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good idea. Because I don't see in their spreadsheet here, it doesn't list room tax grants in particular, so I can't really ascertain what we did last year, but I think it was,
Well, the good
I
part
think
of-
it was more than 10,000.
Yeah, and the good part of these funds in this particular setting is that the reporting's required. You
Yes.
know, and so we will know after.
We will know,
What has transpired, so, you know, we can compare that year over year and see where the results are.
Yep, yep. So, okay.
And what's our available funds that I see? 98?
We had a total of 98,000. We already committed 10,000 for the Festival of
Festival.
Arts. I'm just trying I should have printed this out. So that leaves us with a 40,000, well, if we award 30,000 to the Grand Theater, that will leave us with 40,250 left.
Which we would have for either later applications or carryover for the winter cycle.
Yeah. And most of our fall applications have already been awarded, like Beer and
Yeah.
Bacon, let's see, the Among New Year, the Blossom of Light, Iron Ball, they've got fall events. And the other upcoming outrageous weekend events, so I don't think there's big fall events waiting
Right.
for us, so.
Is this the largest request that we've funded? I don't have historical data in front of me, but
Close to the
It
largest.
would appear, at least for this year's cycle, when we got the list that's up there,
yeah.
the largest one was 20 for the Hmong Festival.
Yeah.
So this would be the largest, and, you know, I think that, you know, it would help for us to be clear with them that, you know, obviously with a large request, what comes large expectations. So definitely our eyes will be on them for results.
And I know last year we did, for the Balloon Festival, we did at least $20,000.
Yeah, we
For
did,
them,
we
so.
did, so, okay. I'll move to approve the 30, and then we'll take a critical look at it after the season and see what result we're getting from this increased effort of theirs.
Okay, a motion from Rasmussen,
I'll second that.
a second from Henke. Any discussion? Okay, not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that carries. All right, thank you. Then item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding the establishment of a fixed meeting schedule. And I know we've discussed this in the past. I remember last summer having, trying to get us onto a quarterly cycle with, I think it was like July.
Previously, it was January, April, July, and
And October.
October, and then as needed.
Okay.
That makes sense, because it follows the calendar quarters, I mean, at least fiscal quarters for most places. And, then too, I think we meet frequently enough that applications for the upcoming season can get in and not feel like they have to wait a half a year.
Yeah.
Like when we just used to have the spring and fall, it was hard for organizers to all get in.
Yeah, letting these applications languish until we meet at a infrequent interval really hurts them because they wanna.
Know where they're going.
They need to know what's happening, with their event funding, so,
Well, and in a given quarter, if there aren't any, we can just cancel.
yeah.
I think the other thing that it does is it provides opportunity to have the funding that we've done, the organizations, if we have a set schedule, it's due, a week before, so we have a chance, so we can educate ourselves and get that, so it's like it's due
Right.
before that, as soon as the event or thing finishes, you have till the next.
It would be great at our October meeting to have some at least preliminary results from the summer grantees that received funding. Their events have happened, like, how did it go? What did we get for these dollars? Like, was attendance way up, in terms of nights, we would be able to measure that. And some of these now that are just coming in the fall, by January, they absolutely know, so.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll also say, I think it keeps our meetings shorter, so, if people want to come, they're not waiting for 2 hours. That very first meeting I attended, I think there were 15 events or something on the agenda, and I just think it helps us take a more critical look at each event too, so.
Yeah.
Especially
and
if some
discuss it.
apply early, because that spring cycle is intense.
The spring cycle
That's
is
when you
always,
get 'em all.
because that's all the summer events, and it takes a little bit of time to work through them all. So.
For sure.
And this, yeah, meeting on a regular quarterly basis will encourage these entities to apply early then. So they know when the cycle deadlines are and they,
So we can.
Were they wanting us to pick a day too, though? Like the last Monday or whatever? I mean, of that January?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's, I'm.
Or do we just survey for quorum during that month and just go whenever we can?
That's the current process.
Tentatively around the fourth Monday, maybe, so,
The fourth week is usually easier here because less stuff is meeting.
yeah.
Agreed.
So most of us are available because our other meetings are done for the month by then. Kind of, so,
I think it'd be good if we could lock in a day.
Let's lock in the fourth Monday.
'Kay.
Because if we say the last Monday, then it's, or
well, right,
say.
then you'll get 5 weeks in a month and we
Yeah.
won't know to show up.
It doesn't, yeah.
We'll
that
all
doesn't-
come on the wrong day.
That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I can't do calendar math.
Yeah,
So,
So will that start in January then? Is that what we're saying?
well, it could start as early as October.
I think October, if, by the
Okay.
end of October, we could have some results from our summer stuff maybe,
Yeah,
so.
we can have staff reach out and if there's, if there's any, end of event reports, get them in by the October meeting so we can, we can look at that stuff. That
Well,
would
and it'd be
great.
helpful, because that'll put us ahead of it a little bit, so that before they apply again, we can kind of start to measure our
Yep,
results.
Well, we should be able to communicate that earlier too, like shortly hereafter, right? Like plan to have any events that have completed, they're due in for the October meeting for us to review.
Well, and that might be able to be something we could check with Mary Ann and see if she could just send out a letter to recipients.
yeah.
And just send them all a letter and say, hey, the commission's going to meet 4 times a year. The quarter that follows your event, please have, at least preliminary results to us so that we can get, at least a snapshot of what the results were. You know?
Absolutely. So, all right. Sounds like a plan. And if there's nothing else on that, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion
Second.
from Tenke, second from Vandiak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.